Is there a correct way? I mean, I guess I would say just as gently as possible, if in terms of friends would probably be the advice that I would give if you're interested in trying to preserve the friendship, because we all know, or especially, that it's very tough to make an exit from working together and then still hold on to the friend thing, right?
I agree. I agree with that. Have you spoken to any of the guys that left since any of this?
Yeah. We've had some very cordial conversations over the course of the past couple of days. So I'm not, I really feel like probably, I'm not trying to like immediately be all up in their shit or whatever, but I feel like there's probably a pretty good chance that we all hang out in the near future, and that it doesn't really seem as big as it seems right now. It's not like even with AD, our conversation yesterday just made it clear. He's like, I still think of you as a brother. I'll never talk down on you. And I said, hey, I appreciate that, because I don't think nothing occurred between us that was so big that we couldn't get past it. I feel like, if anything, it just made more sense for them to do their own thing business-wise. And, I wish them well, honestly. It's not something that I begrudge them for. I'm actually really happy to see them doing their own thing. And even though I wish that I had been able to incubate it better, I feel like I know a lot more now in terms of how I'll approach this kind of thing in the future.
Got it. Do you have any of the people that left running around saying that you stole from them or that you owe them any money? Were you able to dodge that bullet or no?
No, that's never been the case. Everybody who gets paid by us, I mean, now I see some of them kind of complaining about what they were getting paid, which, from my perspective, it's like, realistically, I didn't know how much most of you were getting paid, because I figured that if there was a problem, you would have said something. And then I find out after the fact that some people had some resentment about what they were getting paid, and I didn't even know. So, that's definitely part of the whole thing. But no, in terms of just not paying people at all, no, I haven't heard anything like that.
Were you paying well?
I mean, there's a lot of rumors about what we were paying people, and like almost everything is total bullshit. I've seen people talking about this guy gets paid 6 figures. I've seen people talking about this guy. I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy shit out there. I thought that I was paying people decently for, realistically, like being on camera. A lot of them was like being on camera a couple hours a week. So I felt pretty all right.
Well, that's where it gets dangerous, buddy. Talking about minimalizing the job. Take it from me firsthand. But no, that's why I was asking you if you thought you paid well. There was a lot of rumors going around when I fired my old co-host, but one thing I was standing on was everybody over here is paid well. I don't know what people are talking about. People are paid way more than what these companies say that these microphones on these podcasts should be making. So are you standing in that, or in hindsight, do you see the areas where maybe it could have been a little better?
I mean, my whole thing, and I don't know how popular this is if you want a raise, you got to ask for a raise. I've had employees over the years who just kept asking for raises every year or two, and they kept getting raises every year or two because they were valuable to us enough that we needed them. So I don't really understand how somebody could like complain about the pay if they weren't like trying to get paid more,
Yeah. You said you spoke to these guys. Any conversations about maybe bringing any of them back? A closure conversation?
Well, AD did say that he would be happy to come back on the platform at some point if we wanted to have a conversation or whatever. So I'll probably take him up on that at some point. But in terms of doing consistent stuff on camera, I kind of feel like it's probably best that we have some kind of, division between whatever they're building and whatever I've built.
All right. Tell me what you've learned from all of this. Or a few things that you've learned from all of this.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that you got to like lay down pretty strict boundaries early on in a relationship like this, I think, and you can't just let it go wild. I feel like, the whole drama element, I kept seeing people refer to us as like the Jerry Springer of hip hop YouTube. And as much as you said that you thought that a lot of that shit was fake and scripted, I've never faked anything or scripted anything with these guys. I can't say that they've never scripted anything on their own, because there's definitely been some, like, you know, fake fights that weren't actually fights that happened on the channel a while back. But no, I've never approached it like that. And I feel like, you know, where I'm at now, it kind of feels like, you know, your first girlfriend when you're young versus once you've had 10 or 20 girlfriends. You're just going to know how to have a healthy relationship a lot better once you've got some experience under your belt, right?
I would hope so.
So, you know, I feel much more equipped to build something, like to build a cast of characters and everything. It sucks that I wasn't able to, you know, do it with these guys, but, you know, ultimately, yeah, like I feel like even listening to Trell talk about how he wanted to do everything under No Jumper, but then he didn't really feel like we were offering enough, or that we were, like, you know, in terms of content, not money, but like he didn't feel like we were motivated enough to really build out like a full content slate with him. And I mean, I think he's probably got the most potential realistically. He's just been going crazy. The views on his Back on Fig streams are crazy. And, you know, if I was to be in that exact, if I could turn the clock back a year right now, I would have definitely said, like, okay, I recognize this motivation that this person has, and I want to jump in there, and I want to fucking, you know, embrace them as much as possible. Sometimes with me moving so fast and doing so many fucking interviews and everything, it's just, I don't know. I didn't have enough of my eye on the ball to realize what I had in that moment. And, you know, I can't like fully blame myself, because that was such a new thing to me. And now I just feel like I have like a way better perspective on it.
All right. All right, well, I hope you don't get yourself into too much trouble out here, young man. How much of No Jumper's content will you actually participate in from this point moving forward? Like, how much of the network do you have to put on your shoulders and carry right now? Because for a second, it looked like you were successfully segueing out of any of that.
No, I mean, all the interviews and stuff have always been like, you know, 80 to 90% me. Sometimes I have the other guys co-host and everything. T-Rail was doing a bunch of interviews for a while. And then the Tuesday show has always kind of been me leading it for the most part. I don't know. I mean, I guess like my main thing is that I think I realized that I'm not, you know, desperately trying to grow this thing. Like, I want to do something solid and consistent that I'm happy with. And, you know, I don't necessarily feel like we need to have, you know, 5 live shows a week or whatever. I feel like at this point, I'm perfectly happy to, you know, slow it down a little bit and really try to focus on finding some more co-hosts that we are happy with, and just sort of keep building from there. I'm not trying to like compete with the view counts that we were doing 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever.
Well, I think that is a perfect segue. I will now allow you the floor, just in case you would like to apologize to Joe Budden for any of the network digs and jabs that you were taking over the years when I was losing all of my people and you were recruiting more and more.
Well, so I think my main thing that I said at the time, and I guess you could just tell me if you agree with it. My main thing was,
you could say, Joe, damn, I didn't even see all that shit you was going through. I didn't think that I too would be going through those things. It's a lot of adversity when you're trying to do some things. Sometimes you can have too much dip on your chip. Sometimes you could get caught feeling yourself. Sometimes you can confide in people and they could stab you in the back. They could share some other shit. Like, come on, you can do it. Joe, I totally empathize with your position. And maybe I should have called and checked on you rather than interview anybody that had any dealings or interactions with you that had anything negative to say about you.
Who are you even talking about, though? Marissa?
Anybody. Anybody.
You saw the way I interviewed Rory and Maul.
Anybody that has smelled a Joe Budden fart, you have had on your show.
Who? Marissa and then Rory and Maul.
Marissa, Rory, Maul, Bridget, Mandy. I mean, you name them. Anybody.
Yeah, but did they talk shit about you like that?
Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
I've been friends with Mandy for years. How are you going to act like me interviewing her is all about you?
Well, you were friends with that little 19-year-old for years too. So your discernment in that area, in case you wanted to.
Okay, Joe, I apologize. But also I would like to, I want to emphasize my main criticism or my main take on it. I remember at the time was that I ended up feeling like Joe could have kept things going with his old co-host if you had just been a little bit more transparent and a little bit nicer. Do you think that's...
But I didn't want to keep things going. The same way you don't want to keep things going.
So you saw that you didn't want that to work.
It wasn't going to work, Adam. I knew that before any of that shit went public. I wanted to put my people on salary. They were offended by that. I didn't think they worked hard enough to be offended by that. And that was the end of the discussion for us. Whatever happened after that happened.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I was relieved a little bit. Great. Now I can run my business the way I would like to run it. I'm asking you if you feel any sense of relief or burden off your shoulders now that your company is running a little more like you wanted it to.
I mean, you're always going to have a sense of relief when you have like literally less work and less people to worry about, right? But I didn't consider those guys a burden. I really like all those guys as people. You know, it's like, and I actually really like, you know, I value them as people and I want to work with them in the future in some way, but I don't want to talk about them like they were a burden because at the end of the day, I look at all those guys as very valuable. I'm sure there'll be other corporations that try to scoop them up, some of them, and do different things with them. You know, it's not, but in terms of it being a burden at some point, I mean, I guess that's fair. I guess I do have a little bit of a sense of, okay, now I can kind of start, not from scratch, but something closer to scratch.
I think my final question for you today, Adam, is there anybody that, well, who are the people that you're sorry to, if any?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess just in a general sense, I'm sorry to AD, Trell, Doknow, all of them that I wasn't able to sort of, you know, maintain this united front that we were pushing for a while. And, you know, I'll probably always regret it to some extent. I'm definitely sorry about that. But, and just really like the context in which they left, where AD felt offended or felt disrespected, even though I know me and him don't see eye to eye because I'm sort of against this Adam was talking shit behind my back narrative and whatever. But, you know, yeah.
No house phone?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. I thought we were talking about just current times. But, yeah, for sure, house phone as well.
Adam, when you get with your publicist privately, make sure they tell you that you have to at least sound apologetic during the apology.